empty hearts and neon lights. They're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. La 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 la. Oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Oh no.
I thought I had it figured out, believed in us, we were meant to be, no doubt. A teenage love, everybody else could see the way we were, living in a fantasy. When I kiss her, I don't know where we're going. I don't know at all. I don't know how we're growing. I'll be moving on. I'll be moving on. Gotta let it go.
All right, my friends. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Just gonna get settled in here for a second. This song name is pretty retardio. Tum da da dum. That's literally the song's name, is the fucking line that she keeps saying. Alright, guys, so yeah, we'll get settled in here for a second. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Let us see. Let's turn this off. Yeah, we'll get started here in a minute. We'll do our full rundown on Bitcoin. We'll do top to bottom on that. Look at alts. Do a few lessons here and there. Q&A. You know how we do it. Shout out to Coinbase for sponsoring all my content. Definitely a badge of honor nowadays to be sponsored by such a large and reputable brand. And yeah, hopefully everyone's doing well. I tired the puppy out before the stream, so hopefully he'll leave us alone. But yeah, I'm just gonna read through chat for a minute, and we'll get started here momentarily with the Bitcoin outlook. All right. Yeah, it was definitely Sandstorm DC. You're spot on. All right. Yeah, before I get into anything crazy too, let me know how the background music is. If it's too loud, definitely speak up before I get too far into it. It should be good, but we'll get into some stuff here. All right. So yeah, feel free to yap away, throw any questions in the chat, and we'll get it covered. We're taking a short here, aiming for 105. No, I mean, like, us trading to 105, totally within the realm of possibilities, but if you're going to short into, support, that's foolish, right? With trading, you got to be ahead of the curve. If you wanted to short this stuff, you need to have shorted, in advance. We're currently in one of my buy the dip zones, which I'm going to cover in detail as we get through this outlook. But I don't like opening a short into 14K seems really dumb to me. So I would not suggest that. Is you long the bottom, sir? No. What bottom? I'm just spot long right now. Don't worry though. We'll do a full rundown all the way through on everything. Cardano or Fartcoin? Off the top of my head, probably Cardano right now. But Cardano is normally one of the weaker out of the large cap dinos. So honestly, I would prefer not to even buy Cardano. If I wanted to buy a dino, I'd probably pick like Bitcoin Cash or Ripple or something. But don't worry, we will cover that. Okay, so gonna go ahead and lock in on a little bit of Bitcoin yap. So we'll just run through this. I would appreciate it if you kept your questions relevant to the topic at hand, but I understand if you want to talk about something that I'm not, just throw it in the chat. Oh yeah, and before I get started, because I know I'm going to get asked about this anyways, the final day is on the Paragon discount, so code MOJITO for 15% off at the checkout. That's going to be ending in the next couple of days, and we won't be doing a discount for any foreseeable future, in the foreseeable future, so definitely, if you wanted to, now's the time to do it. All right, let's get into the plans. So the first plan that I was working with was the idea of us, actually, hold on. Let's start over. Let's go top to bottom because I know fucking dog shit ass. It should be back, but I'm going to start over the stream anyway. Stream just cut. That's weird. Can you guys confirm that you can hear me now? It looks like my upload jumped back up to normal. There's something wrong with OBS recently, guys. It's not me. Because I know multiple people that this has been happening to. I know this happened to Doc. I know this happened to Charlie. It's been happening a lot recently. I didn't say anything wild. Nice try, Lear. I actually kept it together and didn't nerd rage. But for some reason, my bitrate just dropped to fucking 0 all of a sudden. And I'm pretty sure I need to update my OBS because I might be a patch behind. But anyways. Let's go ahead and pretend like that didn't happen, and I'm just going to refocus up. So let's do a little bit of Bitcoin outlook. Let's just start over from scratch. So starting off with the macro outlook, the main thing that I want to stress to you guys, right, is the trend is up, and all the stars are aligning for us to continue to go higher. I don't think we're in the early stages of the trend by any means, but the best moves always happen at the very, very end of the trend. So that's the mindset you want to have, in my opinion, right? Is all your plans should be based around price going higher. How can you buy the dip, and how can you benefit from Bitcoin going higher, right? That's the center of all your plans, in my opinion. Eventually, a top is going to come, but you know, there's just such a over concern around the idea of when does the top come, or when am I going to sell the top, and those kind of things. The longer you trade, guys, the more you're going to realize that it's just not important to think about that, especially when we're talking about quality assets like Bitcoin, which are set to continue to inflate in value over time. So closing thoughts on that little intro yap are just be optimistic, bet on higher, right? Eventually the trend is going to die, and we're going to go down a lot from there. But it's not like you're gonna have 3 days to react where all of a sudden Bitcoin is down 50% from the all-time high, right? You're gonna have time to react. As we mature as a space, tops and bottoms are gonna be slower and slower to form. So I think just be patient and submit to the trend. Okay, having said that, what are some of my main plans right now? So essentially, we're just operating with all buy the dip plans right now. I don't think that we're set to trade up higher right now, but I think that we are set to trade up higher later in the year. So these are the main plans that I'm operating off of right now. First was the idea that maybe we form a local bottom where we're at right now, right? 14K was originally my buy the dip zone when we were at like the 18K HVN area. The idea basically is that we are just deviating this range that we've been building and coming and finding demand at the recent demand block that we formed, right? This is one of the scenarios that I did wait with a recent, decently high probability. This is still on the cards, even though it looks bad right now and it's scary. I absolutely could see this taking place over the next couple of weeks. So keep this in mind. If bulls are able to defend this region, this like 113, 114 region, that is information you want to be looking for, right? Inability to trade down tells us what is set to come in the future, right? If we lose this area and we trade lower, right, it ultimately means that, we're not as bullish as we want to be, but it's still a bullish opportunity either way. Okay, so TLDR of what I was trying to say, right, is that this setup is on the card still, so I would be paying attention to it. A lot of people are probably going to be bear posting and, acting like it's the end of the world today because we're on a red day. But honestly, it would not surprise me at all if this was a setup going in later into the week. So if we start to reclaim and get back into like 116, 117 in like a choppy kind of upwards grind fashion, I think it makes sense to, be adding spot allocations. Seasonality, though, is really stumping any attempt at momentum right now, so I don't think it makes sense to expect that we're going to break out. But, dips are still for buying. Okay, the next plan was the macro range retest, right? So this is what a lot of people are going to be talking about, like retest 110, something like that, right? And maybe they'll call 108, maybe they'll call 112, whatever. I don't consider this to be that high of a probability because of the level of, how it's just too obvious, right? This is a consensus setup. So to me, it means we're either going to bottom out way before it or we're going to bottom out a lot lower than it. So since I don't really care too much about this plan, sure, it's possible, but I don't weight it very high probability. I think that if we're going to trade lower from where we're at now, it means we go a lot lower probably. I don't know if it's going to be 98K, 95. Like, I'm not going to predict the level. I don't give two shits. What I care about is the idea that a deeper pullback. If this deeper pullback comes, which I'm not saying it's high probability, I think that us bottoming where we're at is higher probability than us trading all the way down here. But if we do this is something we've been talking about for a while now. You get these fear moments and they're obvious in hindsight, and then you're salty a few months later when you didn't capitalize on it. If you're given this and you don't capitalize on it, you might as well pack up shop and just quit trading, because you're going to have to explain to your family, in 50 years why we're still poor, right? So if you're given this, you capitalize on it. I don't really even think that you're necessarily going to be given it, but it's in the cards, right? So those are the main macro plans. Let's move over to this really quickly with the levels and the quarters. Right now, 120 is obviously significant resistance. That was, foreseen, and that's going to be the case for the foreseeable future, right? Eventually, we're going to defeat 120. That's probably going to take a couple of months though before we're going to defeat it, and then we'll be looking at 150 from there. Downside supports, right? You've got macro support at, rounded up to 110. It's going to be a really obvious level that everyone's going to pay attention to. But, you know, because it's so obvious, it means to me that it's not really going to be a level I'm super interested in. So that's that. I'll go ahead and pause, check chat. And that's pretty much it for the macro yap. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. You know, as expected, right? You know, you're not really getting that that summertime trend that people thought for some reason was going to come. You're getting that summertime chop. You know, if this is the quarter start and there's a level of consensus around us trading up in Q4, to me, it means that this is the stage where we're essentially in time capitulation right now, where this sideways and lack of momentum is going to make people start to capitulate on this plan. And then if we get time capitulation and then some sort of price capitulation where you either have a sell-off at the end of Q3 or maybe at the beginning of Q4, some sort of sell-off at somewhere around this time period, right? Time capitulation, price capitulation. Trade higher in Q4, right? That's essentially where I'm at, right? When a plan like this is super obvious, to me, it means that there needs to be like a situation that makes people uncomfortable and makes people question the setup and question their confidence. Yeah. So we'll pause and we'll read through chat here. Local bottom 113. It could be right now while we're farming. Like we could be farming it right now. I'm not betting on it from a derivative standpoint, but you know we'll just be nice and patient with it. So local bottom. Oh, I just read that. Could BTC break all-time high, or will go down. Yeah, those are definitely the options. It could go break the all-time high or go down. What would you need to see to want a long 113 now? The classic like order flow setups that I've been teaching, I would be looking for, you know, just the classic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checklist. Probably be looking for that, and that's pretty much it, right? Not super focused about lower time frame trade setups when I'm doing the streams, right? I can't multitask like that. I think 90 to 95 best region to keep in mind. Yeah, again, it is obviously 90 to 95 is the dream zone to get to bid. And I would scoop up a lot of Bitcoin if we traded all the way down there, but I don't really think that we're going to end up successfully trading down that low. I think that once this chop and capitulation stage that we're going through right now is over, that we're going to form the next kind of lower high is going to be higher than people want it to, because there's just so much demand for Bitcoin. I just don't think we'll trade down that low. Chatters be chatting. I know you don't like liquidation heat maps, but how about using it on very low time frame? Doesn't change anything, bro. Liquidation heat maps are just like rough guesstimations with shitty math, so not really interested in either way, you know? All right, just reading through chat. I've already covered some of these questions, so I'm skipping over them. How do you know it's just time chop and time capitulation is just distribution in the making? I mean, you need to gamble basically, right? That's your question. That's the answer, right? I don't know if it's going to be distribution or, you know, reaccumulation, any of those kind of memes that you see on social media. You know, there's been periods where I'm just like reading the flows every day and like, okay, I catch an insight, and that has helped me with tops and bottoms before, but I don't know, like the likelihood that I'm going to read flows in that way that I was able to in the past years is just not, it's just not that tangible for me to read accumulation and distribution with spot flows in the same way. So much of the important buying and selling is, you know, obfuscated nowadays. So it's just, I don't know. I don't think that that's like a really viable approach. But I will still do my best to pull that off, but I just realistically don't expect to be able to do so. How realistic would a flush early Q4 that takes us to a longer term base and bottom Q1? That totally could happen too. That could be a way where the Q4 plan kind of, just like how this year played out, where the chop, you know, and up stage played out, but they just front ran everything by a couple of months time. Could have a scenario where you maybe have a bearish Q4 and a bullish Q1, right? I mean, that's totally possible. I'm open to all these plans. Just because I don't say a bearish Q4 and a bullish Q1 doesn't mean that I haven't necessarily thought of it. I don't think that, you know, it's just level to level, right? You know, the quarters are the levels, so we'll just play a level to level. We'll just see how Q4 goes before we start guessing about what Q1's going to look like. Why do you think Q4 will be good? Bro, you should know these answers. Like, if I know you show up to all my streams, you should know. It's just the cyclical pattern of things, guys. The trend is up, and thinking in these stupid ways has really helped me a lot. It's helped me a lot to think in this way, right? A lot of the times I presented it in the most stupid of arguments, right? How did I justify getting bullish in January 2023? I said that people that actually move markets want to have good performance in Q1 so they can get their quarterly bonus, right? It's like the dumbest of arguments, but it helps me, you know, be on the right side of momentum. A lot of the times my theses around like macro like that are as dumb as they can get, basically by design, right? Like, I'm doing that on purpose. So anything you can think of is telling me up in the, you know, later in the year, right? The trend is up. Every little macro like bullshit thing, the treasury company shit. Yeah, I understand the treasury stuff. Is going to fuck us one day, but I just don't think that that's going to happen when everybody is like, you know, calling for it, right? I think that the treasury stuff, Ponzi, will continue to lift markets. Eventually, that's going to probably be the thing that, you know, annihilates us and makes us go into Giga Drawdown. But I don't see that happening yet. It's not that common that, you know, everybody calls the Big Short. You know what I mean? All right, so let me just catch up with the rest of the chat. We'll finish up the macro yap and we'll move forward. Are you going flat in Jackson Hole? I'm already flat from a derivative standpoint. I'm not trying to change anything. With my spot holdings. My spot approach right now is super lightweight on alts, mostly Bitcoin, with a few large cap alts like ETH and Solana, little Doge. But I'm just staying Bitcoin centric with my port for now until we're done with this chop stage, and then I'm gonna allocate into shitters probably. But for the time being, just staying Bitcoin centric and just chilling. That's been the play for a long time. I say that stuff now and people think, you know, it's like, oh, like, you know, obvious, but it's not new that I've been Bitcoin centric with all my stuff. So anything delusional, 100%, 100%. I know, like, you know, if you fancy yourself to be an intelligent lad, you're going to hear me, you know, always making bullish arguments and think like I'm just a bulltard. But there's actually a value, guys, in the idea that of just like seeking out the optimistic bets. Like, I've bet on up and down a lot in my career, and the distinction in performance between the two, like, it's not like I'm bad at being bearish. I can do it. I've had really great bearish trades, but the returns are just so dog shit on being bearish compared to being bullish. So that's why my approach to these markets, especially when it's been validated that Bitcoin is just going to keep going up, right? That's not, you know, that's been validated by time. So yeah, I lost my train of thought, but it's truly that's your goal, right? Is to be bullish on the good assets and be bearish on the bad assets. And the reality is that, you know, sub 1% of assets are good. Most of them are bad. The purpose of the bad assets purely is just you buy them and you sell them to somebody else for more money. That's the only purpose. All right, let me move on. Let's read the rest of the chatters. Have you covered ETH? I have not covered ETH. I will when we get to alts. It'll be the first alt that I'll cover. I actually own ETH these days. Not anything meaningful. My stack is, you know, probably 85 to 90% Bitcoin still. Not bidding it. You're not interested in bidding 110 because it's too obvious. I'm not saying that I won't if we get to that level just like you know, there's no possibility of a 110 setup, but yeah, I probably not going to be taking the 110 setup. I thought we'd go up and then sell for FOMC shit, but now we're selling, or we either are going through some huge news to go up. I can't read all that. My brain. Sorry, guys. I've been working way too hard recently. My brain power is just not there right now, as you can probably tell by how I sound in general. Seasonality, boys. I don't want to even try to use my brain right now. Just, you know, get through the rest of, you know, you got a few more weeks of really boring, you know, price action in Q3, and then that's when we'll probably have a fuck you move, and then maybe get some trending environment to come back our way. It's not you mental, it's me though. Yeah, I fuck with that. Have some panic selling this week or next and go up higher. Who's spamming the heart buttons? That shit is so distracting. My screen is just all hearts right now, you nerds. Can I learn intraday trading in Paragon? You absolutely can. That's definitely one of my specialties. I teach all of my trading systems, whether we're talking about positional, swing, intraday, which would be day trading, or scalping. Have all my systems fully uploaded in there. And we're at the point too where we have like you know, the track record where people have come in and learned it and been able to use it, like Doc, for example. Why does TA work? Who knows, bro? Does it even work? You know what I mean? TA works on that level where there's, you know, consensus and everybody knows to do this thing or that thing, but it does and it doesn't, you know. It doesn't really, it's not important to care about that kind of stuff, you know. The answer of why does anything occur with the markets pretty much always comes down to microstructure. So just the relationship between makers and takers is pretty much the answer to everything. Brother, keep spamming Bitcoin dominance. It doesn't make me want to look at the chart anymore than I already don't, you know. Bull Q4 started November last year, but that was because uncertainty before elections. So yeah, from the time the start and the end point on it, you should always expect that to not be the same, right? So if like one year you start in October, you know, you expect it to be earlier or later the following year. Even when you follow the patterns, you never like are scripted with the time frame stuff. Really quickly, I've got 170 of you in here and 31 likes. Press that like button for me. I should have showed that a while ago. All right, guys, so I'm going to lock in for a minute and move on with some of my topics, and then we'll come back to chat here shortly. Okay. We'll get into alts after I finish up the Bitcoin. So let's see I guess we'll keep the rest of the Bitcoin short and sweet. Hopefully I still have the drawing saved so I could save myself some time. All right, good enough. So this is the main medium time frame plan right now, right? So this is the range that we built up for a couple of weeks now. And the question is, are we going to reaccept this range, or are we going to, you know, fill out this low volume node, right? Essentially, this is a range, this is the range, and then this is the low volume. Basic auction market theory principle, you're either going to oscillate in volume or you're going to fill out the low volume. Those are your two, you know, options basically. So what we're at right now is we're patiently waiting to see if that defense is going to come through this week. If the defense doesn't come through, it means we'll start to use like 113, 112 as resistance, and probably build a range between 113 to probably, if I had to guess, if 110 is obvious, you'll probably trade lower than 110. So that's the general medium time frame idea right now, is that you are set up for most likely chop. If the reclaim play comes through, it definitely bodes well for bulls, but I think that you're probably set to have, you know, these kind of tops as you roll through. So that's where we're at on medium time frame. I think all roads point to us going higher in the long run, but unfortunately the medium time frame picture is not really that optimistic of one. You know, that could change if you start to get the reclaim play coming through this week, but all medium time frame roads point to chop, and then all high time frame roads point to up. That's how I'm viewing it. So we'll go ahead and move forward, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions or anything. I'm down to cover any topics related to Bitcoin or even alts. a sense of entitlement. Some people come in this stream and then act like I owe you something crazy. Tell us in simple words which side will go the market, bull or bear. Please talk slowly. We didn't understand. Higher. ETH BTC has momentum. That's valid. I agree it does. That's why I, you know, as somebody that's been an ETH hater for a long time, I own ETH now. Do you think the reclaim is more or less likely? Let's game theorize that out in real time, right? Structure, high time frame and medium time frame structure tell me that the fight for the reclaim should be valid. Seasonality tells me that the reclaim is less likely to take place. So if I was to just, you know, LARP as a, you know, quantitative, you know, dweeb over here, I would say that I don't want to make up numbers because that's just too much of a fugazi, but I would say that the reclaim is slightly higher probability, but you're probably looking at like a 60-40 split where your likelihood of the reclaim is technically higher in my gut tells me, but it's not like it's not super obvious where it's like a, you know, sure thing. Hoping to buy hype if we get a dead market. Okay. I don't own any hype right now. I had a pretty sweet trade on hype, but I'm out of it right now. Okay, so we'll probably go ahead and dive over into alts here. Let's run through some stuff. We'll do ETH first. So here's where I'm at with ETH. My thoughts on ETH are that, you know, well, let's actually do ETH BTC because this is the chart that actually matters to me. When we look at ETH, we see that it clearly has been a, you know, a terrible coin for a long time. And this is the first structural shift against Bitcoin that you've seen. And this is what we've been looking for, right? The whole time through, you get a drive up and you build a range and you're looking for the next drive and next range. And that's how you get the structural shift. Now we've had that, where we're building ranges and shifting higher. To me, it looks like ETH BTC is losing momentum. So it tells me that the pullback is probably in the cards. And if that takes place, that I won't probably be looking to buy more ETH because I don't care. I like being Bitcoin centric. But for you guys, if you see ETH BTC do a pullback like this, right, it does make sense for you to buy ETH to bet on continuation. Because if you're wrong, right, your invalidation is going to be, you know, pretty straightforward. If you're wrong, you're going to get a dead cat where you'll make like a lower high off the bounce, right? You'll come in, get a weak bounce, and then you know you're wrong. And then if you're right, you get a, you know, a trending continuation move. So the EV on this bet is for sure there. If I'm being super honest, I probably won't take this trade, but I'll show it to you guys because I think it's valid. So that's the ETH BTC argument. Just a quick scan on ETH itself. Holy fuck. My tickers got fucked up. Whatever. Okay, so my main thought process right now is that, you know, it's obviously locally strong. And there is a main talking point around $4,000 because Tom Lee, I don't remember if he tweeted about that or maybe it was in his dumb newsletter or something like that. But the idea is that, you know, now it feels like 4K is now the same kind of line as the FTT $22 line. So that makes me a little concerned. I don't know what will happen if we trade below 4K now that you know, that has been proclaimed. So we'll keep an eye on that. 4K is going to be really important for that. I do think structurally, though, like anything down from where you're at now all the way down to 4K makes a lot of sense, right? So basically from, you know, where we're at now all the way down to maybe even like 3,900, structurally it looks like a really good bid opportunity. But yeah, the main concern that I have, though, is that like from a momentum standpoint, this had a lot of juice in it, and this one seemed to have a lot less momentum than the previous impulse. So, you know, that probably means that the next one will be even weaker. That's pretty much where I'm at on ETH, though. If there's any questions, let me know. I'm not overly interested in ETH myself, right? I did allocate to it because, you know, portfolio manager over here, but Still Bitcoin focused. All right, let me read through chat. Which alts are you looking to buy on dips? We'll run through alts here momentarily, but you know, you've got my list of some of the coins that I think are decent. I essentially would be bidding large cap layer ones like Bitcoin and Solana, bidding memes, and bidding dinos. Thanks, Russell. Analysis on Solana? Yeah, don't worry. We'll do Solana next after ETH. Respected Unk in the space. Why am I still here? I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do, bro. The questions are valid around the social media side. I question that all the time, why I put up with any of it. I still love trading, so I don't really have any interest in doing anything else with my life, but we'll see how everything plays out long term. To be honest, I don't know how the discount is set up because I didn't make it, so that might be the case. Say an Arbitrum looking good? Bro, I can, like, those are probably not looking good. I'm going to go ahead and pull those up just for educational purposes. I don't look at these. I haven't looked at either of these coins in a minute. Fucking A, man. My hand hurts. Yeah, I mean, this thing, like, you know, classic lesson. Invert this. If this is what Say looked like, I'd say, holy fuck. You better buy every bit of this token right now. Buy the whole order book up right now. This thing's going to -30, right? But like, this thing is just ass, right? So this is a terrible coin. And most coins you're going to fall into the category of being terrible like this one, right? Arbitrum, I don't even need to look at the chart, guys. I already know that there's a really high probability it's going to be the same type of chart. There you go. Boom. Dog shit. There you go. You know? Listen up, everybody. I'm not going to do this lesson a whole lot because I don't really care enough. In life, there are two kind of assets. There are chat assets and there are bad assets. The overwhelming majority of assets are bad. The purpose of bad assets are you buy them and you sell them to somebody else for a higher price and you make money. That's the purpose of the majority of assets that exist. Then you have good assets. Good assets are few and far between, sub 1% of existing assets. This is the SPX, Bitcoin, real estate, right? There's very, very few things that fall into that category. Then the overwhelming majority of these things that we trade are all going to end up at some point, even if they're a chat asset for a period of time, they're all going to end up in the bad asset category eventually. So it doesn't really matter what ticker I look at. These are all going to get categorized the same way, where they don't really have any purpose other than to be traded short term. Frankly, something like this, like Arbitrum, the purpose of this is so that they can sell their tokens to you. That's the purpose of this. We make a fuck ton of tokens, and then we slowly sell the tokens over the course of a couple of years, and then the people that made the tokens make millions and millions or billions, and you lose, right? That's the purpose of these coins. So learn to separate the two. You want to never sell and only accumulate chat assets, and you want to only ever, you know, always be selling bad assets. There you go. You're welcome. Do you see any scenario in which Dino alts hold the lows better than Bitcoin? I don't know necessarily about them holding the lows better, but I am optimistic about the idea that Dino coins could be the next Ponzi to run it back after ETH and Solana are done. So there you go. I think you are also confused like us about the next move. What do you think? I mean, do I sound confused? There's a difference, brother, between being confused and then, like acknowledging I don't know the outcomes. Knowing the outcomes in these scenarios are impossible. Everything is a scam. Magus Cook explained how you trade FOMC. Can you tell us in a few words on this? Maybe considering the next FOMC. FOMCs, you know, these events don't trade the way that they used to. I used to have a script that was, you know, very actionable trade setup for every FOMC and CPI. It's still valid. It just doesn't hold up as much. Essentially, the idea is that when the event is, if this is the event, you should see sell pressure coming through on the event, and then either right before the event comes through or after the event is over, you should see assets rally back. No problem, guys. The Dino coins you're looking at, I think that Bitcoin Cash looks interesting. Litecoin looks interesting. XRP looks interesting-ish. Looks like the worst out of all of them. And Tron looks the best for sure. We can look at hype really quickly. I don't own any hype right now. You know, hype is fundamentally a really great project, but I don't really want to buy any hype, you know. Maybe that, honestly, the chart looks fucking really good, you know. The chart looks really, really good. It's holding up so much better than most alts. I could see this thing just not really even pulling back and just trading up a lot, you know. Well, you're saying all money to be rotated to Bitcoin. Eventually every alt is a scam, but small time period we can trade up. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for a long time, my mindset was trade coins to accumulate more dollars. And it's a valid approach, but as I've gotten further into my career, now my mindset really is more trade coins to have more Bitcoin, because it's not that hard to make dollars. It is hard. It's much harder to beat Bitcoin than it is to beat the dollar, right? Like beating the dollar is fucking light work, you know? Literally light work, right? But beating the Bitcoin, that should be your goal. Would you struggle to trade without VWAP? I probably would, yeah. I could still do it. Thanks, Ting. Yeah, we're really trying to do big things with the cookbook. Let's look at Solana a bit. All right, guys. So yeah, let me we'll do last minute alt stuff here. So let's see what we got popping. Solana is not one that I'm overly excited about the way that I once was. Solana was, you know, another one of my kingmaker trades. I've had probably, you know, 5 or 6 of these big swing trades in my life that have, you know, I've had a lot of growth from, and Solana was definitely one of them. I think that moving forward, Solana is still, you know, basically what I said several months ago was you buy Solana when you're too scared to buy memes. You know, that's basically what Solana's purpose is. It should be higher beta to Bitcoin, so it should outperform it on the upside to some level. It's going to underperform it to the downside, obviously. But basically, if you don't want to buy, you know, Fartcoin or some, like, you know, poppin' meme, then Solana is what you buy. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at, right? I don't have any expectations that Solana is going to be the best performing coin. I don't think it will be an underperforming coin where it's not going to be getting outperformed by some random, you know, storage kind of coin or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the best thing that something like Solana could have going for it would be the treasury, you know, schematic getting run back on it. Once they get bored of ETH, maybe they run it over to Solana. The top is probably when they try to run treasury companies on memes. So definitely take note of that. It's all over. But yeah, so I own Solana. I don't own nearly as much as I once did. And my intention is to, you know, the things that I'm holding currently are probably things that I'm going to buy the dip on and continue to buy up more spot. It's basically where we're at. Yeah, Monero's been interesting. I don't know if I would say it's one of the best looking coins. I don't like the way that this thing trades. It reminds me of Tron. But, I mean, to say this is one of the best performing coins, bro, like, definitely not. Definitely not one of the best performers. It's not one of the worst coins out there, but, I mean, this coin doesn't really go up or down. right? These things are basically a stable coin. I did not buy any of the plasma public sale. Is there any scenario you can imagine Bitcoin going to 200 this year? Of course, bro. Of course it's possible, you know. Because anything's possible. But, you know, am I saying that that's most likely? Level to level, you know. You got to beat 120 first. You got to beat 150 first. Going to 200 is possible because, you know, just about anything is possible in life. I'll chef up Fartcoin for you. There's a reason why it's not in my port right now, you know. This thing is clearly extremely weak right now. I'm confident that Fartcoin will bounce back very strong one day and have all its attention and be the Fartcoin that it once was. But for right now, Fartcoin is destined to continue to trade down until the market at large bottoms out, and then this thing will be a good play. But you need to be patient and wait for Bitcoin to continue trading lower. And then once that process is done, then you can look to things like this. But this is not a chart that you trade the technicals on. Fartcoin is a chart you trade purely off of like sentiment and attention. And sentiment and attention will return to this thing eventually. Just take it easy for the time being, because if you buy it right now, you might go into a lot of drawdown before the attention returns. What memes are you interested in? I mostly play, excuse me. I mostly play large cap stuff, so you know, I'll be playing Doge, maybe Pepe, maybe Fartcoin, maybe Bonk. Doge is the only thing I'll play for sure. We'll see though. I normally play large caps only, guys. You know what's up with UMA? No idea, bro. It's an illiquid dog shit scam coin. That's the answer. Solana short-term bearish. I mean, I'm kind of short-term bearish for everything, but maximum optimism for end of year. Sounded like Batman. Sorry, my voice just went out. I haven't been getting the sleep that I normally would like to, and I've been working a lot, so we're real tired these days. Nobody tells you, you know, everybody talks about how tiring it is to trade and like staring at the screens and dealing with the uncertainty of, is my position going to work out or not? That stuff sucks, don't get me wrong, but the one thing that nobody ever mentions is how tiring all like the meetings that you go to and all that kind of bullshit, you know? Meetings suck. That's how I know I'm old. Alright, gang. That's probably going to be it for me here soon, so I'll hang out if there's any last-second questions or anything, but I'm gonna wrap up the stream here pretty soon. I've got a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of projects and things that are on the way. We're working on the cookbook newsletter. I've got a newsletter with Will Clemente coming out soon. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline. Not everything can be announced. Some things are announcements of announcements where they can't quite be announced, but I'm continuing to work on all my projects and bring forth more content for the boys. So hopefully you guys enjoy what gets made. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me, guys. Good luck out there. Consider joining the Paragon. I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.